Gotta go. What is going on, everybody? The wrap-up report is getting a little bit of an upgrade. I won this cool little mic at work. They're doing a cool promo at work where they want us to send in content of us in the field doing our jobs. And my team sent in a couple of fun videos, and my video got the most views. So I got this cool microphone. So the wrap-up report is leveling up here. But let's talk about this week. The global financial system needed a quick reset. I'm sure the age range of people that tune in here is all over the place. But many of you had the old Nintendo system where you inserted the game cartridge. Well, what happened when the game got messed up or got paused or it started to get a little bit laggy? You take the game out, you blow on it, and you put it back in. Most of the time, 95% of the time, that works. Sometimes you got to pull it out 3 or 4 times, blow on it a couple times, and then put it back in. But that easy, quick reset made that game so much smoother for everyone else playing and, normally solve the issue. Well, that is basically what happened this week. The economy, global trade economy, basically got a quick reset with the tariffs. But I find that people that own Bitcoin do not really care what is going on with the economy. We live like peasants to buy magic internet money that draws down 30 to 50% multiple times a year. And this is just a normal week for us. But before I get into the weekly news, we have to talk about the most important thing that happened this week. Terrence Howard was on the PBR podcast and made the announcement and possibly has proven an entirely new geometry equation using the Howard comma, where the basis of our current math system is proven false. 99% of people will skip right over that video of Terrence Howard. But the ones that listened, your mind was blown. Terrence Howard, the actor, has over 90 patents to his name. He has invented a new way of flying called transcendental flying, using his object called the linchpin technology. I will not do this man any justice trying to explain the subjects that he covered in this podcast. But if you watch from the 44-minute mark to the hour and 52-minute mark, when the NASA scientist joins the show, it is worth watching. He works for NASA in space engineering and flight, and he literally said, I've did this my entire career, and I've been looking at the math, feeling like there's something off. And he goes all the way down to the proton level, the electron level, where he's like, how can there be a positive and a negative? How can something negatively be charged? Is that possible? And Terrence is like, exactly. They removed the ether from our math system. So our current math system is based off fiat or linear equations that can move on a flat line. So they want our math system to be able to multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1, which is, interesting and flawed. So he brings it all the way down to the basis theory of our math, that 1 times 1 equals more than 1 instead of 1. Because how can you multiply something by something and not get more of that thing? And in math, they need math to work. And I'm not a genius or anything. I'm just summing up this podcast. But 1 times 1 is 1 in our math, so that when we multiply, multiplication works. Well, he's saying if you're looking at the world and geometry and how things interact, you are missing the curvature of space. So there's nothing straight in space. Everything comes back. If you drop something in the sand, you never see straight lines. You see rounded droplets coming out of it. And they always ripple back inward. So there's always a barrier, is what he says. So if you take the flawed fundamental of ignoring the curvature of space, and now you add that to the equation with the Howard comma, mixed with the linchpins, which is this perfect object that forms and fits into every single space, no matter what the space or object, it's mind-blowing. But basically, gravity is fake, And once you remove gravity from the equation and you realize there is no empty space, everything is filled into something else. It's the ether of the cell. So, man, I'm just saying, this video blew my mind. And if you enjoy thinking like, maybe they have ignored this thing to make money work, like to make our math work. They've ignored this fundamental issue. And now he's saying with the linchpin and the Howard comma, they have now solved the three-body problem. The three-body problem is this like impossible problem. It's a physics challenge in orbital mechanics where you try to predict the motion of three objects, like stars or planets, interacting with each other through gravity. Unlike two-body system, which have a predictable orbits, three bodies create a complex, chaotic paths that are nearly impossible to solve exactly due to their mutual gravitational influences. This is a classic problem in astronomy and mathematics, showing how small changes can lead to widely different outcomes. So this is a huge problem that was impossible to solve with our current math system. And Terrence Howard comes out and is like, yo, we solved it. Now what? So I highly recommend everyone going to listen to this. Even if you just start at the 44-minute mark, it is, it's pretty insane. And he even made a thread on there. He's like, they took away my US passport. They stopped me from traveling. They tried to get me on this. And now I'm releasing the equation to steal energy from the ether for free. So he's invented zero cost energy. Again, I didn't see any release or anything crazy, but a lot of people think the stock market sell-off was from tariffs. I know what it's from. The Terrence Howard interview, man. I kid, but again, I highly recommend everyone going to check it out. But let's talk about these tariffs. April 3rd was the largest one-day sell-off in stock market history. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent tells Tucker Carlson the top 10% of Americans own 88% of the equities. So that's 88% of the stock market is owned by 10% of Americans. So when you see those big drawdowns or that massive change in the market, that is really affecting about 10% of the Americans really, really badly. The next 40% own the remaining 12% of the stock market, and the bottom 50% can't invest because they have debt. So they basically have zero exposure to the stock market, which was the big, scary monster this week. The summer of 2024, more Americans were using food banks than they ever have been in history, while at the same time, we took the most European vacations we ever have as a country. So again, there are basically two Americas, like they're saying, one's that in the investment class and the working class. Obviously, there's a mixture in there, of course, but, when you see these major drawdowns, just realize, the ones complaining the most are the ones that can, have the most money. Corporations power, this is crazy, so you're going to have to stick with me for a second here, but corporations power the U.S. economy. There are over 35 million corporations that operate in America. They employ over 126 million people, which is, again, roughly 33% of the entire workforce. 50% of the entire workforce. Those 35 million corporations bring in $28 trillion in United States GDP. And they hold $4 trillion in cash. So all the corporations in the entire country hold $4 trillion in cash. Out of that 35 million, 5,000 of those are publicly traded companies. And they employ 40 million employees, which is 1/3 of the entire 35 million. They also bring in 22 of the $28 trillion in GDP, and they hold 3 trillion of the 4 trillion in cash. So that's only the top 5,000 companies. If you go down to the S&P 500 level, these companies, which are basically the top 500 companies by market cap that are publicly traded, they employ 30 million people, which is 25% of all the 35 million corporations. They bring in 18 of the $28 trillion in GDP, and they hold 1.6 trillion of the $4 trillion in cash. So when you understand, like, you have a chance to, like, investing in investing in 20 stocks and paying attention to everything is almost impossible. You can see just by these numbers, there are basically, out of that, I can keep going down. Like, the top 7 companies hold most of that $1.6 trillion in cash out of that 500 companies. So, like, I've been watching a couple Warren Buffett videos this week just because it's pretty interesting the way the guy thinks, and like they tell you diversify. Diversify into what? You're diversifying into a bundle of companies, hoping a couple of them have good returns and the rest don't kill you. When in a world like today, with the amount of information that's available and the amount of disruption and AI, so many companies, their technology's gone. Their businesses are done. Like, in 5 years, if you look forward, they're done. You have an opportunity to take action and invest into, like, go big into the things you trust. And that, making those type of moves, when you see these returns by certain companies, you don't have to go into the bundles with everybody else. You can pick and choose winners. And that's what, Warren Buffett has said, is like, in baseball, if I'm looking at the pitch, I only get 7 pitches, or I get a couple pitches till they call 3 strikes on me. In investing, I don't ever have to swing my bat. I don't ever have to take my bat off the shoulder. I can look, even if it's a strike, I'm not out. It doesn't matter. I missed that one. There's going to be another one. And so until I fully understand it and I know what I'm investing in, I just wait for my pitch. And, that's really good advice, especially with the turmoil in the market. But at the end of the week, we had a little bit of a change in the market. So Taiwan has agreed to drop all tariffs on the United States, joining India, Israel, Vietnam, and Cambodia, and Argentina, who also intend to zero on their tariffs. Over 75 countries have called to negotiate with Trump so far, and because of that, Trump made a pause on tariffs for 90 days for all countries that cooperated and that didn't retaliate. Obviously, we all saw that China retaliated. They raised their tariffs against the United States, and they basically tried to call Trump's bluff, and he went up to 100. I think it's at 105% now, could be even higher, tariffs on China, and basically took the tariffs off every other country as they work, or not took them off completely, brought them down to 10% as they negotiate good global trade laws. Because as of right now, China makes everything, and they basically export everything. And if they stop buying from there, their economy is built off that. So it's going to be interesting. The world is changing. But what a colossal waste of time and money. The Cory Booker filibuster was meant to throttle Doge's efforts, led by Elon Musk, whose main priority exposing government overspending. Meanwhile, your tax dollars are paying all those legislators for a 25-hour-long rant. Yes, you heard that right. Cory Booker broke the Congress record for the longest filibuster ever performed, which was 25 hours and 5 minutes. He talked up there for 25 hours straight just to prevent legislation conversation. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's a rule, but how crazy is that someone can talk for 25 hours straight just to filibuster and waste time for us? Rep. Tom Emmer's anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act passed the House Financial Service Committee on Wednesday with a 27-22 vote. The bill now is heading to the House, to the full House, and seeks to block the U.S. Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency. So again, pretty big deal. In some quick Hoge news, Tom Hoge, our sponsored golfer in our own minds, not really, but again, one day, Tom Hoge, we will be in your bag on your driver. Got a hole-in-one at the 2025 Masters Par 3 contest. So nice shot. I watched it. Went beautiful shot right in the hole. He has made the weekend cut and currently is sitting tied for 27th at even, which is 8 strokes back from the leader, Justin Rose. So again, you got this, Tom Hoge. You have an entire community behind you. We're waiting for the Tom Hoge pump. The Hoge X account has been active like crazy this week, thanks to the Moon. So we all know To the Moon in Telegram. You probably see him here on X as well. He makes great content, all new, different, cool custom memes. He's making these. He taught everyone how to use ChatGPT to insert Hoge into any image at all. It works. I'll be using a thumbnail of it today on this video. But he's taken over the Hoge X account and is doing a great job. So again, much appreciated. Pump Guard Alex made me a 3D design that I printed with my 3D printer. Oh man, do I have him down here? Hold on. Let me see. I might have him right here. Luca, do you see my Hoge dog up there that I painted? I guess not. I'm sorry. Dead air. Dead air. I know. It's for the video version. Oh, I found it. I found it. Look. Got a little suit and tie, sunglasses, and his nose. This is just version 1. Maybe we can get these arms moving, get the legs moving. But would you want to own your own little Hoge 3D printed character? Well, one day that's going to be a possibility with Jersey Racks over here and Pump Guard Alex. But let's talk a little bit of Bitcoin. When someone says that guy has a lot of Bitcoin, how much Bitcoin would you assume that guy has? So I saw that question posted on X here, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting question. Because in my mind, I'm like, probably like 10, probably 10 or more, I would say. And I read a really good argument. It's like, depending on how long you've been in crypto. If you got in 2021, you're like, all right, that guy's got to have 50 to have a lot. Or if you got in yesterday, it's like half of Bitcoin's a lot, right? So, I found that question very interesting. I wish you could go back and forth with the co-host here about it. But that guy has a lot of Bitcoin. How much does that person need to own in your mind to have a lot of Bitcoin? Pretty cool, because that's going to change throughout time. On March 21st, the $100 home Bitcoin solo miner completed an entire block to make over $260,000 worth of Bitcoin. Imagine coming home from work and seeing your $100 miner hit a $260,000 block. Let's go. Almost 100% of the short-term holder supply is now in loss, which is 24% of the circulating supply. So that's under half a year, or 190 days, I think it is. 160 days. And they are now 100% in a loss. So pretty cool. MicroStrategy. Everyone's asking when Strategy will get liquidated. But here's the truth. There is no liquidation point. Why? Because they built their Bitcoin treasury on non-recourse debt, not loans with value traps. And then you add 1.5 leverage at a 0.42% interest and zero panic selling, and now you've got a bulletproof balance sheet. So what he said, and what I believe in, as you tune in here, I only own one stock. I'm not gonna lie, I do own a little GameStop now because let's go, Bitcoin, baby. But put everything on black. And by black, I mean the mathematically finite thermodynamic apex of capital. While Wall Street diversifies you straight into poverty, Saylor concentrates his capital like a Death Star, focusing its beam. Why does Papa Saylor do this? Because he understands one thing Wall Street doesn't want to admit. Diversification is a hedge against conviction. And guess what? Conviction has a higher Sharpe ratio than your financial advisor's entire LinkedIn resume. MicroStrategy isn't risky. It's a company turned into a Bitcoin time lock protocol, publicly traded on the NASDAQ for your convenience. I mean, think of this. They own let's just call it $34 trillion in Bitcoin, right? Well, that's how much they spent. It's really worth like $50 trillion. Billion, sorry. $50 billion. That's liquid digital property that could be settled anywhere instantly and is actual value on the balance sheet. Most balance sheets are valued by products coming in the future, or technology in the future, or market share in the future, which is, you're betting on, like, let's say they buy a business. You got to wait 3 or 4 years for that business to return your value. Some will, some won't. With MicroStrategy, they're literally buying direct property that is trackable, traceable, settlable, movable, infinitely fractionable with anyone, anywhere in the world. And they own 526,000 Bitcoin. The second largest company owns 47,000 Bitcoin. So again, not financial advice, but getting in MicroStrategy today is like getting in Amazon in 1999 or whenever the heck was a good time to get in. And some quick world news. Pakistan appoints Binance former CEO CZ as strategic advisor on crypto. Who had that on their bingo card? I did not see that coming. So again, who's going to stack first, I wonder. And who's going to have an inside to get the best prices? Pakistan just became a player. The Japanese built a rideable 4-legged robot that is powered by hydrogen. Yes, you heard that right. If you've seen the videos, it's pretty crazy. I know it's animated, but if they do come out with a mechanical horse dog that you can take anywhere and climb anything, sign me up. Australia is banning social media for kids under 16. It's a bold move which directly is targeting some of the world's most influential companies run by its richest and most powerful men. But it's pretty crazy. But in some quick fun news, Fortnite added a Bitcoin mine to the new map. So you can go mine some Bitcoin in Fortnite. And this week, we heard for the first time the howl of a dire wolf. For the first time in over 10,000 years. Romulus and Remus, the world's first de-extinct animals, were born on October 1st, 2024. The dire wolf has been extinct for over 10,000 years, and these two wolves were brought back from extinction using genetic edits, can't read this morning, derived from a complete dire wolf genome. Meticulously reconstructed by Colossal from ancient DNA found in fossils dating back 11,500 and 72,000 years ago. This moment marks not only a milestone for us as a company, but also a leap forward for science, conservation, and humanity. From the beginning, our goal has been clear: to revolutionize history and be the first company to use CRISPR technology successfully in the de-extinction of previously lost species. By achieving this, we continue to push forward our broader mission on accepting humanity's duty to restore Earth to a healthier state. Oh man, is this getting crazy? They're bringing things back from extinction that have been extinct for 10,000 years. Pretty wild. But, just another week here on the wrap-up report. I see you, conscious beasts. Thanks for tuning in. I love your content on the Reddit. But as always, I will see you in the chats. See you next week. Peace.